The following podcast contains spoilers for The Untouchables. The Untouchables. The Untouchables. You have been warned!
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Glenjamin Button, along with your baguette of a host, Miguel Megusto.
Baguette. Beef. Paris.
Paris.
Enchanté.
My little crusty croissant. How are you, my friend?
It's croissant.
It's croissant. I'm sorry.
Croissant. I'm good. How are you?
Dude, I don't know. I thought, I looked outside and I realized it's just another day. So, it's crazy. Here we are.
That's how time works.
Yeah, it's insane.
Especially when you got nothing going on.
Yup, same thing.
But since you got all this free time, have you watched any movies?
Oh my god. Let me tell you how many movies I've watched. This is actually an insane week because I kind of went above and beyond, right?
Oh, this is going to be one of two ways. Either you're telling the truth or you're setting up a lie here.
Oh, I always lie. So, what's the point of even trying?
Yeah.
I watched two movies.
Oh, wow.
One being the movie we're obviously going to be talking about.
I have no idea what you do with your free time. I know you do your Twitch streaming and everything,
Yeah.
but
It's crazy because, have you ever watched paint dry?
yeah.
It's
Is
like
that
a
what it's like
personal
watching
hobby
you on Twitch?
lately. Yeah, I mean, what else would I do? But that's pretty much what I do. Either that or stare in a mirror, and that's the same thing as watching paint dry. So
That's true.
I actually had just finished watching The Truman Show, rewatching, shall I say, The Truman Show, because it had been a little bit since I seen it, and I was like, I need some Jim Carrey in my life. Still is a fantastic film,
Yeah.
and I can't get over how good it is ever.
It is very good.
But
Yeah.
my friend, how is your repertoire of movies?
Well, I saw 9 movies in total, 4 of which were in theaters. Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. I bet you're a jelly monster.
I was invited to it, and that does make me jelly.
Yeah, and you said nah.
I did, because I don't want my boy to always be spending money on me.
That's fair.
'Cause I have no
That's
money.
Fair. But the first 2 I watched were both Ingmar Bergman movies. I got that collection from the Criterion Collection of all his films. Dreams and A Lesson in Love, both from the 50s. Both are kind of romantic films from a Bergman lens. And both are pretty solid. I enjoyed both of them. They're classic films that are in Swedish. So there's not much I can say about them. They weren't mind-blowing, but I enjoyed them.
Okay.
Then John Clark and I did a little movie marathon in Water Tower Cinema in Lansdale.
Ooh. This is where my jealousy starts to ensue.
Yeah, fun story. It's called Water Tower Cinema because there's a giant water tower there.
Oh.
The entire time I was trying to figure out why it's called Water Tower Cinema. And
I
then
would have just assumed Warner Brothers owned it or something.
Yeah, we went to go get lunch, and I hadn't seen it when we drove up to it, but while we were leaving to get lunch, there was a giant water tower that was accessible from the parking lot that I should have seen when we got there, but I did not somehow.
I don't know.
But anyway, the first movie we watched was News of the World with Tom Hanks, where he is a guy that just goes around the Old West telling people the news, and he finds a German girl whose parents were killed by Native Americans, and she was thusly raised by Native Americans, and kind of just him trying to help her navigate the world and everything is really cool and interesting, and yeah, solid, good feel movie.
Okay.
Of course, as you expect with Tom Hanks. Mm-hmm. Then we watched Promising Young Woman with, oh my God, why can I not remember her name? Carey Mulligan, and Bo Burnham is in it as well. Bo Burnham
Interesting.
surprised the hell out of me. He's really good in it.
Okay.
And It's a really solid film. It's a really dark comedy, as you probably could tell from the trailer. For those of you who don't know, it's about this woman who kind of goes on revenge for all, against all men who take advantage of girls and women when they're drunk, and it's a really fun but also dark film. I really enjoyed it. I really think a lot of people should check it out. Bo Burnham shocked the hell out of me. I'm not going to say any more than that, but he's just incredible in it.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen him act in anything besides the one comedy movie we watched. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, this was like the first one where he was definitely funny, but he played it like he's a pediatrician in it, so he's like relatively straightforward. And also Clancy Brown plays her father in it. Mr. Krabs. Then we watched Monster Hunter, which was fucking terrible.
I would imagine.
John Clark loved it, of course, because he was. I just could not get over. The editing was horrible in it, and I hated it, and I hated everything about it, and I didn't like it at all. Ron Perlman's in it, but looks like some kind of weird character from the musical Cats. But like he's a human, but he looks like he's part of Cats. Yeah. The stage version, not the weird movie version. I just have zero things to say about Monster Hunter that are positive. There was one line or reaction that I liked, but that was about it. The main characters' dynamics, Tony Jaa and Mila Jovovich, their dynamic was good. That's probably the only nice thing I'll say about it.
Yeah.
The rest of it's just garbage. And
I know the monsters pretty much, at least from what I saw from the trailers. I'm probably not going to watch the movie myself, but the monsters have looked pretty well compared to the video game, obviously, Monster Hunter.
Yeah, I mean the effects were good, but that's literally the least you can ask for in an action movie.
Yeah, but from a video game movie, that is what you could ask for.
That's true.
So
I'm just not impressed when effects are good, because they should be good in everything. So that's not going to impress me. Then I watched The Constant Gardener, a film from 2005, which was directed by the director of City of God, the Brazilian film, for those of you who know it. His name is Fernando Meirelles, I think is how you pronounce it. It's got Ray Fiennes and Rachel Weisz, Danny Houston, however you want to pronounce it, and Bill Nighy. It's just it's a really solid film. A nice little mystery thriller there.
Ooh. Scandalous.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it. I don't think it probably deserves the praise it gets, because it's I don't want to say it didn't age well, but I could see it being impressive for the time, but it's not impressive anymore. If that makes sense. But it's still a solid film. Then I watched The Untouchables, we'll get to in a minute, and then I watched The White Tiger, which is the newest film from Ramin Bahrani, who directed 99 Homes and a few other films. He did the TV film for Fahrenheit 451 with Michael B. Jordan and Michael Shannon. This one is it's essentially like Slumdog Millionaire meets Wolf of Wall Street, and I don't mean like Slumdog Millionaires and they're both Indian. I mean it's about like the class system and how people treat lower class people in India. So I guess in a way, yes, it is about India, but it's more about the class system that I make that comparison. And then the way it's kind of told is kind of like the way Wolf of Wall Street is told.
Yeah.
And it's got
even with all the drugs.
Not so much the drugs, no. But it's got Raj Kumar Rao, who was the lead in Stree, the Bollywood horror movie we watched. Yes. He was phenomenal. He was great. When he speaks English, he sounds like he has an American accent, which was shocking.
That's pretty good then.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, his character is supposed to be like a son of a mobster who spent a lot of time in New York and married an American Indian, her family is from India, and I think she was born in India too, which is played by Priyanka Chopra, also known as Priyanka Chopra Jonas, because she's married to Nick Jonas. But it is just like a really dark, but in the same way, kind of fun film. Kind of like Wolf of Wall Street, but it's darker than Wolf of Wall Street because it's, murder and crime involved more so than just hedge fund shit. But yeah, that's on Netflix. I highly suggest anyone watch it if they get a chance. The White Tiger. It's a phenomenal film. Then John Clark and I went to see One Night in Miami at the Colonial Theater, which is directed by Regina King, which I did not know until the credits started rolling.
Okay.
One Night in Miami is essentially it's based on a play, and it's essentially a fictional story about NFL linebacker Jim Brown, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, and Muhammad Ali all meeting one night and having a party, and it kind of goes over like their discussions through that party. Again, it is a fictitious night, like this never happened, but it's used as a great vehicle to talk about not just the civil rights.
Definitely a solid group of people to talk to, or have a conversation to.
Yeah, it's not exactly about like it's not the civil rights movements on broad terms. It's civil rights movements viewed from different African Americans in that time period. With Malcolm X being the civil rights leader he was, Muhammad Ali kind of right before he officially joins Islam. Then you got Sam Cooke, who's like a musician, and they say that he like caters to white people too much. That's kind of like his character throughout. Yeah. And kind of adds a nice dynamic there. And then you have Jim Davis, who's kind of like the neutral good throughout. He's kind of like the one that's like seeing both sides and trying to calm tensions. It's a really phenomenal film. I highly suggest. That one is you can see it in theaters, but it is also on Amazon Prime. However, I do suggest.
I thought I saw it somewhere else.
Yeah, I do suggest going to see it in theaters if you can, financially and also health wise, just because we need to support theaters.
Yes.
But those are all I have watched for this week. I think you and I both said we don't have any news. Is that correct?
Yes. It's otherwise it's gonna be really fucking sad news again. But
Larry King died.
Larry King passed away.
Yeah, it's sad.
What a setup. All right. Larry King had just recently passed away. I think he was 87.
Yeah, he died of COVID complications, unfortunately. He was either 85 or 87, I forget, but he was huge in television broadcast. I think he was his show was kind of weird. He was like a journalist, but also a talk show host. His show was always strange to me, and I
had personally never watched him.
Yeah, you and I think were too young to really like appreciate his show when it was out. But
his work had definitely been bestowed upon a lot of people and motivated a lot of people to do what they do today.
Absolutely.
So, other than that, sadly, we do not have any other real news. Other than a bunch of fan art on Screen Rant.
So let's get into our film, which is a slight upper from that, and it is called The Untouchables.
Selon le contrat, vous disposez également d'une dépendance.
Allez de vous, Philippe.
C'est qui ce type? Autour de toi, tout le monde s'inquiète.
Bon, il est grand, il est costaud, il a 2 bras, 2 jambes, un cerveau qui fonctionne, il est en bonne santé.
Frollo, là.
Les gars des cités, ils n'ont aucune pitié.
C'est ce que je veux. Aucune pitié.
Voilà, c'est bon comme ça?
Attends.
Ce truc de ouf, là. Vous avez fini de jouer, là?
Mais en fait, vous sentez rien du tout, là.
Bon appétit.
Ça frise la paresse, là, faut renvoyer un peu.
After he becomes a quadriplegic from a paragliding accident, an aristocrat hires a young man from the projects to be his caregiver. That's how it's done, Glenn. Mm-hmm. Not a single pause or stutter. Just wonderful reading there.
I was really hoping you would stutter on the word stutter.
And now we get into the hard part for me,
here's
which
the
is
fun one.
names. Directed by Olivier Nakache, or Nakache, could be either. Or Nakache, could be Nakache as well. Probably Nakache.
Already on the broadest of steps.
Directed by Olivier Nakache, Eric Toledano. Written by both of those two, and based on the autobiographical tale Le Second Souffle by Philippe Pozzo di Borgo. It is starring Francois Cluzet, Omar Sy, Anne Lee Nye, and Audrey Fleurot. And yeah, that was on Netflix. It is one of the main reasons I picked it is because there's an American film that is based off of this called The Upside with Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart. And I made that connection way too late, like a good 2 years after The Upside came out, 1 year, however long The Upside has been out.
To be fair, I didn't even know this movie existed. So
Yeah, well, I knew this existed, but the poster for it is not compelling at all. So, like, looking at the poster, it looks like a very boring film.
True.
But what we got instead was an extremely heartwarming, fun, hilarious film that was just charming from beginning to end. And it really kind of drove the point home. And I kind of wish I had watched The Upside after watching this just so I can speak on how that holds up in comparison.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I probably won't do that for a few months, but I was very impressed with this film.
As was I. I had never personally seen The Upside, but I knew about it. Kevin Hart, Bryan Cranston, two awesome guys in their own rights. But there is something about this movie that I feel like I don't almost even have to watch it except for to really compare it. But like this one was so genuine, and like all the other words that you said, like it was just so fun. Just the two personalities and how they dealt with this whole situation was so cool, and just the chemistry between the two actors. It's definitely a nice humble sit back and watch. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And the thing that I love about it is that the two characters, the two main guys, Felipe and Driss, in any other circumstance, if we're honest, would probably not be friends. Like if Felipe was in a position where he wasn't in need of a caregiver and wasn't at this point in his life where he was just tired of pity and wanted someone to just treat him normally, that they would have never, like, they might have passed each other on the street and never said a word to each other, or like maybe had even gotten into an argument in public at some point, because they do kind of clash a lot, but it's in a very humane way where they are on the same side, but ultimately have disagreements.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I enjoyed about this, that the American version, The Upside, kind of seems to dwell on. Granted, I'm just gathering this from the trailer, so I may not be correct at all. Just from the trailer, it seems like the American version focuses on their race too much. And this, like, I don't even think it's mentioned even once, except for maybe like when he asks him where his family's from. Like, doesn't ask where he's from, just ask where his family's from.
Yeah, and that's also a thing just America itself really thinks about more than anything. Everywhere else,
which is
doesn't
unfortunate,
really think
because
about
I
that
would
nearly
just
as
love
much.
a film. I would love a film like this where it was just like just a fact and not, it didn't need to be talked about at all. And it's just the performances by both Omar Sy and Francois Cluzet were phenomenal. You know, Omar Sy brought a physicality to his performance that literally Francois could not bring because he's supposed to be a quadriplegic. But the physicality of not doing anything was very believable for Francois, if that makes sense.
He kept it all in his face, and I think even the smallest little details of just his like small little chuckles that he does instead of like full like belly laughs really like is a really nice touch. Like Omar is fucking hilarious in this movie.
Yeah, he is.
And just there's a personality you can't really ignore, and like obviously Francois can't really do much except for the little chuckles, but it makes such a big impact because he can't really do those things. But like you could see his genuine happiness when he did like is like yeah.
Like you can tell that, you know, especially further on when they actually are friends, that Driss, played by Omar Sy, he's only doing it for that small reaction from Philippe, and when he gets it, he's 100% satisfied. And going back to the physicality of being non-physical, the way Francois just lets, like, in a reality sense, he just lets gravity take over. If in that situation gravity would take over, specifically when Driss is learning how to put him in the chair and everything, it doesn't strap him in, and he just kind of like starts to fall out of his chair. It just feels very natural and not forced, and creates a very funny moment in a situation that many people would probably take way too seriously. Because it's not like Philippe at this point is past his "oh woe is me" phase, and he's just kind of like trying to live life normally, which is 100% why he hires Driss, because he doesn't want the pity. And the parts of each other's lives that they show each other just comes out very everything about it is just so natural. Nothing feels forced. You know, even to the point where Omar Sy's character starts to care. It starts to care in a situation where he thinks that Francois may be dying. I'm only saying Francois because I'm tired of probably mispronouncing Philippe. Philippe. But he's kind of, for them to get to a point where they can just sit and talk and be alone, he needs to think that he's the guy he's taken care of is dying, and not just like the burden of a job or anything. So like everything just flows so naturally throughout, and it's just filled with so much joy, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely took me aback with how content I was with this movie watching it. Obviously, a lot of people would probably have a hard time with subtitles and stuff like that, but if you're just watching it, you just got nothing else to do for sure. Like, you're going to pay attention because the chemistry between the two guys and how much fun they're having and all that. Like, you can't really ignore it, and I don't think people should ignore it. I really wish I had seen The Upside, just to compare. Like, I want to see what Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart would do as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that they would deliver something good in itself. The Upside did not have great reviews. I don't think it had terrible reviews either. But I think they're fairly down the middle. And that happens a lot when American remakes are made because, you know, a lot of critics think that they shouldn't matter. But unfortunately, a lot of the American audience do not like subtitles, which is honestly a huge loss to them. More than it is the films themselves.
It really is. Just because you can't read doesn't mean you can't see. What?
Yeah. But it had a lot of like belly laughs too for me. So yeah, The Upside was a 43% on Rotten Tomatoes. But
that right there is what we call an oof.
Yeah, 82% audience score. So that alone tells you pretty much everything you need to know. But I think they would do a fine job. I don't think it'll be as good or as genuine as this one because at that point it is just a cash grab. But I love my favorite scene in this, which I believe, if I remember from the trailer, is also in The Upside, is when they go paragliding. Just because of their different, like, Philippe, his character has every reason to be afraid of it because he became a quadriplegic in a paragliding accident. But it's Driss that is freaking out throughout the entire thing. And just that part made me laugh so much.
And he even mentions it. He's like, maybe you've got nothing to be scared of, but this is I don't have anything, or I have something to lose here. You don't anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a really funny moment between the two. Another one.
Yeah, absolutely. If anything, that scene is also my only negative, but that is only because you can tell that they were holding GoPros on selfie sticks.
Yeah.
But again, that's me nitpicking. Like I don't like when I can be taken out of a film by being able to tell what the thought process was, or in that situation, you see them take off without anything in their hand, and then they're just holding something in their hand.
Yeah.
In the close-ups. But again, like that's such a nitpick.
Yeah.
For this. Overall, like the combining of their two worlds was just what this film's about in my mind is like the show that you can be friends with people from different backgrounds. It might take some crazy circumstances, but you could be.
I think other hilarious moments for this were like when it was just Driss's character, like just doing shit around either like the mansion or just like doing stuff for Felipe's family, or just like him period, but not him involved. Like with the assistant, every interaction with the assistant was hilarious. Maybe a little too much, but like it was hilarious moments because he was trying so hard to like get with this assistant, and she's just knocking him down, and at like the end of it turns out she's like a lesbian, and he's just like, oh well, so no goodbye kiss then, okay.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just a really funny moment to just lead to like her just definitely not being interested.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that is less cringy for French people.
Yeah.
Just because they're more open about sex and everything than Americans are. But it does kind of cross the line of like the Me Too movement and everything.
Yeah.
Not that like you ever felt like he's not in a position of power here.
No.
So he's not like abusing any powers or anything, but it can be seen as crossing that line.
Yeah, he's not forcing himself on her in any way. He's just hitting on her and being like, oh, you know. But like
it also makes him look more stupid than it does humiliate her. So
yeah, that's what if like Americans saw this, they'd probably throw a fit and just be like, well, she said no. But I mean, from this movie, it's a movie. They're having fun. She knows, he knows. They're both consenting adults about it. They're having fun. She
straight up slaps him at one point too, which was funny.
And then when like he's like picking on the daughter's like boyfriend, because I guess they broke up or something, and he's like, you make sure you bring her croissants every day, and like the
they
boyfriend
broke up, but he
yeah.
also called her a slut, which was the part that he took. He took offense with.
Mm-hmm. So he's kind of like bullying her kid around. He's like, you're gonna come by every day, and you're gonna bring her croissants, and he's like, chocolate or plain? And he's like, doesn't matter. And like the kid never sees her, but he brings croissants every day. Yeah, and it's pretty funny. And then the one lady's like, well, make sure you bring some other things tomorrow.
Yeah, you can tell that they're just eating it, and they're probably not even getting to the daughter.
So just like a lot of things when the two aren't together still makes for a lot of fun movie.
Oh yeah.
Even when it's just not the duo. I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. Like,
same here.
Pat on the back, Mike. Good job.
Oh, thanks.
You did yourself.
Because I had things to do with this movie and didn't just pick it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't really have anything else to say about it.
Same.
So that brings us to the judgment. Does The Untouchables make it onto the shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden? I am going to say yes. I think we've kind of... I don't want to say we hyped this movie up because I think it's deserving of everything we said, but it is a solid, fun film. And a lot of the films we do watch tend to be depressing just because I like depressing movies.
That's true.
So the fact that we have a nice, heartwarming one on the shelf is very nice, or potentially on the shelf, depending on what you say.
God, I have no idea what it could be.
Yeah.
It's on the shelf, buddy. Come on.
What was that? I'm sorry.
It's on the shelf, buddy.
It's
Come
on
on.
the shelf. Okay. So The Untouchables makes it on the shelf with the likes of Handmaiden and When Angels Sleep. That's another random one that I remember putting on the shelf. That brings us to our plugs. My plug this week, honestly, it's a cop-out. And I fully admit it's a cop-out.
Wow.
But I feel like we need it now more than ever. My plug for this week is just movie theaters in general.
That's true. That's
If you
a
got
good
a movie
plug.
theater near you, I guarantee you they have steps in place to make sure it is clean and safe and everyone can leave happy and healthy. Maybe go during a slower time, but otherwise, I think you will all be safe if you go see a movie. So go to a movie theater and just watch a movie. If you're worried about people, go on a weeknight. There's no one ever there on weeknights, even when COVID's not a thing. So
Usually, even early mornings, if they do have early mornings. I think they really have afternoon shows more or than anything.
yeah, I think
but,
they're only down like 2 or 3 sets now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
my
go
plug.
support your movie theaters,
Go,
please.
yes, support your movie theaters, and they will stop pushing things back if we support movie theaters. So, support movie theaters.
Do it.
Do
All
it.
right. So for my plug, it's going to be a little kind of segue in a way. This is going to be something that I personally have to see in movie theaters. And if it comes to it and theaters still aren't open for this, by God, I'll have to watch it on HBO Max. But Godzilla vs. Kong trailer just dropped 2 days ago. And my God, I'm not lying to you, I might have watched it like 30 times now. I don't know what it is. Like the Godzilla movies have been fantastic as far as like, the fight scenes and everything. As long as it's been the monsters, they've been great movies. I could obviously take away the human parts of it except for Bryan Cranston. And then Kong was an excellent movie too, and its fights and all that stuff too, and Sam Jackson was freaky. But we finally have Godzilla vs. Kong. And there's a lot going on in the trailer. I dissected the living shit out of it, and my eyes are probably bleeding. I have to check up on them again.
Yeah, I can
But-
actually hear them from now. They're
Yeah,
dripping.
just rampaging, guzzling out of my gross. Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. That's going to be my plug. It's a movie I have to see in theaters. I'd need to, and I bet
Well-
you by next week I'll probably rewatch all the movies again.
This is our only chance. We have to take it. We need Kong. The world needs him. To stop what's coming. And this child. She's the only one he'll communicate with.
I knew that they had a bond. She had nowhere to go, so I made a promise to protect her. And I think that in some way, Kong did the same.
Yeah, John Clark and I are planning on seeing it in theaters because at the very least AMC will be open because they financially cannot close again.
Yeah.
Or else they're gone for good.
You
So
can invite me to that bracket too, because I will.
I will invite you to that. We're going to go see it in IMAX.
I was about to say, the closest IMAX I need it in my eyes
Yeah.
to stop the bleeding, mainly.
I already
but
know which
still.
one we're going to go to if Regals aren't open at that point. So
All right.
we're going to do it. So those are our plugs for this week. That brings us to our assignment for next week. Glenjamin Button, it is your turn to tell us what to watch.
I'll be dead honest. I didn't know what to pick. I'm rampaging. I'm siphoning
Oh, man,
through
you
the
can make me
garbage.
pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you pick. Okay. It's like, no, I'm not. I found one, but I have no idea what the movie's about. I've honestly never heard of it, but I like the cast, and I'll take that more than anything. I found this on Hulu, and it is called Wonder Boys.
Wonder Boys.
And it is Wonder Boys. An English professor tries to deal with his wife leaving him, the arrival of his editor who has been waiting for his book for 7 years, and the various problems that
So close.
Oh my God! And the various problems that his friends and associates involve him in.
It's a really big book you're writing. Is all of that single space?
You're not one of those writers that has a success, freezes up, and never has another one.
Does that sound like anyone we know?
Nobody teaches a writer anything. You tell them what you know. You tell them to find their voice and stay with it.
So, how's the book?
Don't touch it.
It's directed by Curtis Hanson, written by Michael Chabon, and that's the novel. The screenplay is written by Steve Kloves. It's starring Michael Douglas, Tobey Maguire, Frances McDormand, Robert Downey Jr., Katie Holmes, Rip Torn. There's a lot of people in this movie, and that's the main thing that really attracted this to me. I was like, there's a lot of people in this movie. And the poster's kind of freaking me out because it's Michael Douglas with his glasses down to like the tip of his nose, kind of just staring with his hand in his palm.
Yeah, I'm not a
or
fan of the
palm in his
poster, but we'll see.
chin. It's freaking me out. It's got pretty good ratings. So I was like,
Yeah.
the cast, the rating's pretty good. Hopefully, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, I honestly didn't check to see if you watched this or not.
I have not seen it. I didn't even know it existed. This is the
Yeah.
first time I'm hearing about it.
See, same.
7.2 on IMDb, 73 Metacritic score. So yeah, I think, it won an Oscar as well.
Ooh.
Oscar for Best Music Original Song, which was Bob Dylan. I mean,
Yeah, can't go wrong.
yeah. So, that's going to be Wonder Boys on Hulu. That is our assignment for next week. As always, you can check out our website, www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we are Keystone_Film_Review. Twitter, Keystone_Film. Facebook, Keystone Film Review. YouTube, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I am Mike KFR.
And I am Glenn KFR.
And that will do it until next week when we decide whether or not Michael Douglas is hitting on us in this poster or if he's just being cool. Maybe not cool. Nice uncle, grandpa, whatever you want to call
like,
him.
I'm gonna spot you $5, nephew. But also, he's probably hitting on us.
Yeah, come sit on my lap.
Come sit on my lap with this $5, nephew.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.